What's up everyone, it's Kara Corey here, and we are in October, which is my favorite month of the year, because it's my birth month, obviously, but also because it's basic month, and my house smells so basic right now. It's like fall heaven, it's delicious. And maybe you don't give two craps about basic month. Maybe you don't, but you are gonna care about these super delicious, high protein pumpkin bars. And I'm gonna make these today with a pumpkin cheesecake filling and a pumpkin spice crust. It's gonna be delicious. It's very simple. To get started, we're gonna preheat the oven to 350 degrees. And what we're gonna use for our pumpkin bars, or little pumpkin cheesecakes, if you will, are gonna be just, you can use a muffin tin with little cupcake tray with little muffin tins in it. And to get started, we're gonna make the crust. And so for the crust, we're gonna use a few different things. You've got some options here, but what's gonna make it a pumpkin spice crust is gonna be that I picked up some of these Thinsters cookie thins in pumpkin spice. Now, I'm sure you guys won't have these laying around your house. I picked these up at the local grocery store, but if you don't have those, you can do any other kind of substitution. If you want to do another cookie, you want to do a graham cracker crust, that's very common, or if you want to keep it like gluten-free, paleo healthy, you could use an almond flour or like a ground almond meal for this. So what we're going to use is 3/4 a cup, and what I did was 3 servings of these cookies, and I crushed them up, and all I did was put it in like a Ziploc bag and like pounded the crap out of it, and that gave us our nice like cookie crust. So I'm going to dump that in a bowl. And regardless of what you use, whether it's almond flour, whether it's graham crackers, 3/4 a cup is gonna be your go-to measurement. So with the crust, I am going to add into it just a little sprinkle of some ground cinnamon, because fall flavors are always gonna have that nice aroma of cinnamon and nutmeg, and it's just like warm and spicy. So we're gonna put a little sprinkle of that in there. The next thing that we're gonna add to our crust is going to be brown sugar. So I'm gonna use the Splenda brown sugar blend. If you guys have a light brown sugar on hand, you could use that. Another substitution would be a coconut sugar if you have that laying around as well. So for that, we're gonna use 1 full tablespoon that I already have portioned out. Get in there. And last ingredient here, we're gonna use 1 1/4 tablespoons of butter, and I'm just using some Kerrygold butter that I already put in the microwave for like 30 seconds to melt it down. So I'm gonna go ahead, pour that in there, and then we're just gonna mix that up real good. So you really wanna get the butter all mixed into your crust and make sure it's all nice and buttered up. And what we're gonna do is just take like a tablespoon each and place it into each one of our little cheesecake tins here. We're gonna make 12 of these, so 1 tablespoon into each of them. So once you've got the crust sprinkled into all your muffin tins, just to kind of flatten it out so it sticks together, I'm gonna use the top of my pumpkin spice, my little spice container, or you could use a shot glass if you have one handy. I'm just gonna crush down the crust. You can see how it flattens out. It's that all covered, so we have a nice thick crust. Now we're gonna move on to our pumpkin cheesecake filling. So to start with, you're gonna take a separate bowl that we're gonna mix this all in, and I'm gonna start with, I've already got cracked in here, 1 whole organic egg that I'm just gonna dump in there, and I'm just gonna whisk that together right now so that it's all mixed up. Next ingredient we're gonna add is some Libby's organic pumpkin. Make sure you get the pure pumpkin, or you can just actually buy a real pumpkin that you could use that as well. And we're gonna use a 1/2 cup of pure pumpkin in this. So the pumpkin makes it taste nice and fall, but it actually has a great source of nutrition. And pumpkin's great for any recipe because beyond the nutrition aspect, it's good to bake with because it acts as a fat source by kind of moistening it. So you can use pumpkin in any recipe when you want to replace it for like butter and things like that. For the cream cheese, I'm going to use fat-free cream cheese. This is totally optional. You guys could use a whipped cream cheese, full fat, whatever you desire, but we're gonna use the full 8 ounces, and what I recommend doing is leaving it out on the counter for a little bit to soften up. You don't wanna use it right out of the fridge or else it's gonna be really hard to stir in together. So go ahead and dump that full 8 ounces in there. For sweetener, I'm going to use Splenda, and I've already got measured out here 1/2 cup. And whatever sweetener you want, just go ahead and use 1/2 cup of that in this recipe. And for protein powder, we are gonna use today the MTS Way pumpkin pie, which I know you guys have at home because I took a poll on Insta Stories and you guys said this was your favorite over red velvet this season. So this works awesome in baking recipes. If you don't have the pumpkin pie, you could do a vanilla because we've got the pumpkin in there, we've got the fall flavor, so you can get away with using a vanilla. We're gonna dump in 2 full scoops of our MTS Way and pumpkin pie. And then to season it up a little bit, a few things we're gonna add. Again, I'm gonna add some ground cinnamon, just a couple. I don't measure this, it's not that serious. Also, I'm gonna add in some of that pumpkin pie spice. If you don't have this laying around at home, it's okay. You could add extra cinnamon if you want. You could add nutmeg, allspice. Any of those seasonings are gonna give it that nice fall flavor. So just a little of that. You don't wanna go too overboard. And last, I'm gonna add some vanilla extract. Again, I'm just gonna eyeball it in and pour in about 1 teaspoon of that. And now that we've got everything in there, just take a fork and beat the crap out of it, all right? Just really get in there, mix that up and beat it together. Make sure you get all those flavors mixed in. Make sure you get the egg mixed in there. And this is gonna be our pumpkin cheesecake filling. So after you guys have spent a good few minutes mixing it up with a fork, you should have a nice thick pumpkin consistency. Should be kind of fluffy and thick. And now what we're gonna do is go ahead and add these to our crust. So I'm gonna use 1/4 cup to measure out the pumpkin filling. And start adding it to each one of our pumpkin cheesecakes, and then we'll go back through after and make everything look pretty. All right guys, I just went ahead using a rubber spatula and I smoothed them all over the top so that our cheesecakes are nice and even. These babies are going in the oven 350 degrees for 20 minutes. So 20 minutes in the oven and our mini pumpkin cheesecakes are all done. I've set them up here all nice and cute so you guys can get an idea of what they look like. And I cut one in half so you can get a good idea of the crust and the cheesecake, that thickness there. It just has a nice aroma to it, like you can just tell it's gonna smell good. And what I want you guys to do with these is you're gonna wanna let them cool as much as you wanna hurry up and eat them. You're gonna wanna chill these in the fridge for 2 hours before you enjoy them. They're gonna taste much better once you let them chill and all the flavors kind of combine and absorb. So you guys are gonna really like this recipe. It's gonna be a fall favorite. I hope you give it a try. You can play around with some different toppings. I went ahead and crumbled up some of these cookies that I had left over and crumbled them on top of the cheesecakes. You guys could add a little whipped topping if you want and have fun with it. So I hope you guys try this basic recipe and we'll see you in the next one.